So, good place to start right here with the rust, because that's where I'm most comfortable with rust. I'm going to start with these holes, and what I'm going to do first, I'm going to pull my bolts out here, and I'm going to take this area, I'm going to clean all this up. This is two-sided tape. I'm going to clean all that up, get that off there, get all this run down the metal around these three holes here. I'm going to investigate that place and investigate this place a little bit more, make sure we don't have any more issues than what we can see. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try to get through this pretty quick. I got about a half a day I can spend out here, I guess. Got some other things planned for this afternoon. If I can get through this pretty quick, we'll start disassembling that engine to put the water pump and stuff on. That's going to be a little longer of a process other than just taking it apart, put a water pump on it and throwing it back on. Once I take that apart, I want to delete the air pump system, get rid of that. We don't need it. And all the brackets and stuff around there that I take off, I want to clean those up. I want to paint those fresh. I really want to clean that motor up. I mean, I'm not going to deck it out like I did the Cadillac. More so like the 60, where it's really clean. It looks really nice. Maybe new air cleaner, stuff like that. But for today, let's start right here in the beginning with the rust. And let's see if we can get this straightened out. Alright, I've got this cleaned up now. You can see I got into the factory Bondo, a little bit of thin layer of skin coat factory Bondo here along these edges. But these holes cleaned up, the metal cleaned up nice around the holes. Now, let's talk a little bit about this real quick. You can see the pit in here where it hasn't eat through, but it almost has. I think that the best line of attack, like on these two here, because you can feel they're pitted, I'm going to try to fill that in with weld. I'm going to use like an 024 wire, which is razor thin wire. That's real good for sheet metal, heat turned down. And I'm going to just try to come in and fill these and grind them back. Once we get these holes plugged the way we're going to plug them, or try to plug them anyway, once they're plugged and I get them ground down smooth, we'll have to be real cautious how we do this, because this thing's black, and black shows everything. Obviously we'll have some body filler after we're done, you know, to make this straight again. But we don't want to really take our time and not put a lot of heat into this, because we don't want this thing looking like a fish swimming down the daggum sea. It needs to be pretty straight, and we want to do as less filler work as we can at the end to finish this out, because I don't like Bondo. I hate it. I'm not very good with it. It takes me a long time to get the Bondo right. But like I said, we'll come in, fill these up with a little bit of weld, grind it off smooth, plug the holes, and then right here, this pitting, you can see how this is pitted, where the rust hadn't eat through yet, but it was definitely eating there. And up here in this spot right here, see how pitted and old the metal is? What I think is the best plan of action on this, plug the holes. Once they're plugged and ground down smooth, we'll put a rust prohibitor on here, similar, the same stuff you see me use on the 60. And once I'm done today and I get the metal filled in, I'll come and put something here, and then I'll tape down this line and I'll spray rust prohibitor over all these spots, and I'll let that sit up, over the week while I'm at work. And then when we get back out here next weekend or whenever, that'll be dry, it'll be ready to clean, and then we'll be ready for some fillers and primers and stuff like that. I'm glad this is all there is on this body, because this body is black, and you can't just do anything you want with black, because it shows absolutely everything. Anything you do right here, if it's not done right, it will show. So I'm not a body guy, so we're going to see how good of a body guy I can become, I guess, right here in this one section. I did get, you can see I got, most of the two-sided tape and stuff off. I used 5-in-1 tool, scraper, and a heat gun. Just, you know, heated it up and just kind of. When I go up here though to take this off, because there's no damage in here, I want to use, instead of this aggressive metal 5-in-1 scraper, I think I'm going to use like maybe a Bondo squeegee, something plastic. Try to, you know, ease this off here without cutting into the body work, the original, you know, Ford body work, or putting a scar in it. I want to be very careful how I go around the rest of the truck, because I don't want to do a lot of body work. So we'll take our time with that, and you know, if it takes a day to get it all off and we don't do any more damage than's already done, then I call that a win. You know, we're not in a hurry. It's not got to be done next week. So if it, you know, if it takes a whole day, it takes a whole day. Is what it is. It'll pay off in the end. So, all right, I'm gonna get my welder set up, and I'm gonna tack weld a few bolts in these holes, and we'll see how it goes. And if it don't work out, we'll back up punt. We may end up going back and cutting these sections out and welding in some metal, but we're gonna try the bolt thing and see if it works. All right, here's the bolt. Cut it off. Plug the weld in. I went ahead and welded up these two little craters I was talking about earlier. So now, start working this down. I'm going to use a flapper disc and work it down, and let's see if we can smooth it out and make it look like something. So let me do that, and then we'll check it out and see what we got. Alright, so this is what we got so far. I got my bolt welded in and cut off, grinded it back. This is a long, drawn out process. You do a little, cool it, do a little, cool it, do a little, cool. You see how it's going. But this right here is filled in pretty good. The bolts seem to work just fine. You know, it posed as a filler to build off of. You know, welded right up. There's still some work here to be done, and as you fill this panel, it has a slight indentation right here, so that's what we want. So when we put our filler in, we can work that back probably to maybe a 1/16 of an inch or thinner on the filler. I want it low rather than high, so I have something to fill too, you know, and then block this down back flat across this body line, because we're not putting molding back on there, because this is all molding that is good for is rusting your car away when water gets behind it. So we still got quite a bit of work here, and I've got these two holes up here left. And then once I get them filled in at least to this point right here, where I can go back in and fill in the craters and grind this back, you can take this as far as you want it. I mean, you can make it look like that right there, all the way across. You can see we got some stress cracking and some pitting. Still needs to be filled in and grinded back. Now you can do that one of two ways. You could leave it and treat it and then seal it up, put your filler in and work it back. That's solid. That's good. You could do that. Or like I said, you can go as far as you want and make this look like a shiny piece all the way across. You're going to have to use filler either way. You know, it don't matter. You just don't want a whole lot of filler. The more filler you get, the thicker it is, the bigger chance of moisture getting in it, cracking it. That's why you only want, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or thinner if you can get away with it. So that's what we're shooting for here. We'll get as much metal welded into this as we can, get it as smooth as we can, all the way up here into these other holes, and then we'll be ready. We'll treat this with some rust prohibitor, and then probably next week we'll be ready to put, you know, body filler on it, and then sand it back, and then put primer on it, and this section will be done. And then it should be, I think I got one spot on the tailgate that's not bad. It's kind of like this in the corner maybe. Other than that, that'll be it. But even right here, you can look right here and see this right here starting to crack up. I just noticed this, and that's from moisture getting in behind that body filler from the factory. So we'll have to go in there, we'll have to dig this out. We'll probably bring a spot down into here and then that'll give us a good baseline off this body line, and we'll just come down and work all this in and block it all out smooth and flush, and hopefully it'll take paint good when we paint it. So, you know, I'm gonna jump on these other holes and attack them and get them at least this far, and then we'll come back and look at the whole panel here in just a little bit. All right, so you see I've got the tape on here now. I've got this taped off where I'm going to put the rust prohibitor, just so it don't run all down the body. You know, that stuff could eat what's left of that clear coat off, and I'm going to try to contain it just right in these areas right here that I've got taped off, because that's where that rust was. It wasn't through, it was still solid, but it was eaten, so I want to make sure that, you know, I take care of that. I don't want to put all this work into it and then it just start rusting up again. So we've got that. I got all the holes welded in, and as you can see, I've got some metal epoxy over it just to seal up, you know, a little bit of pinholes or whatever moisture that could get in there. And it came out really good. So this epoxy right here will get sanded down. It'll get knocked off anyway, and then, you know, the body filler will go on, and we'll be able to put a little primer on, then block sand this thing down and get it straight. But as you can see, you know, that's pretty straight. There is, I can see just a little bit of a wave, and the camera's probably not picking it up, but it's, you know, probably it's as straight as you're ever going to weld up something on sheet metal. So, you know, I'm pretty pleased with that. Not bad for a morning's worth of work. So next time we'll probably jump on the motor now and knock that out and get this thing to run for us. So we'll be getting it up and going, because I really want to get it running here so I can drive it outside to sand it down. So, like I said, you don't want to sand it down in here. You can pick a nice day, you know, throw on a good sweatshirt, maybe a pair of fleece pants or coveralls, you know. I would rather sand personally in cold weather than I would in brutal heat, because then, you know, the dust is all sticking to you. It's not fun. It's not pleasurable, let's put it that way. So, you know, hope you guys enjoy the first segment here of the Bronco build, or putting makeup on the Bronco, or whatever you want to call it, makeover. This is gonna be a cool old truck right here. I'm blessed to have this truck, you know, in this condition, and hopefully it turns out good and everybody enjoys it, and you know, really likes what we're doing here. And please don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button if you like what you're seeing, want to see more of it, because that like button just puts it out to more people. It tells YouTube to put it out there. So please hit that like and subscribe. And if you see anything that I could be doing better, or you got a better suggestion or something that works for you, please drop it in the comments and we'll try it out. We're going to change gears now and head over to this engine and start working on it. The engine, we've had it started and we know it runs. Truck's got just over 84,000 miles on it. So it's completely untouched. It's just, the engine is just like it was from the factory. Of course, with, you know, it's got air pump on it that forces air through the exhaust and all that stuff still on it. Water pump we know is bad. We don't know about the radiator. We're going to take it out. I think I'll take and drop it off and have it pressure tested. Other things we know the fuel pump is good. Guy had put one on it, so And the master cylinder is new, even though it's rusty and looks bad. It is a new master cylinder. There are issues with the brakes. That will be after we get the motor running. We'll go down and start working on the brakes. But for now, we're going to jump on this motor. First order of business will be taking this air pump system off. I've not done this. It's a little bit different on this carbureted engine than it is like on Bubba's 95 F-150. He's got a 5.8 liter 351 in that F-150 also, but it's fuel injected. So it has the EGR plated off at the plenum. This one is a little different. Not done one of these, so we're going to get into it and see, you know, how it don't look bad. It actually looks more primitive and easier than his 95, 96 F-150 is. So that's going to be order of business for today. We'll be getting that air pump system off completely and getting it deleted, and hopefully getting all the way down to pulling the water pump off. I don't expect to get the water pump back on today, but I would like to get it off, or get at least to it. I know those bolts, I've been around Bubba's truck. We done the timing cover, we done water pump and timing chain, everything on his, and there's a couple of bolts in that water pump that pass through water jackets, so they rust up in there and they get seized, and they can be extremely hard to get out without breaking. My plan for that is to hit it with some heat, to heat them, try to gently work them back and forth to break that corrosion rust free and get those out without breaking them. So I hope, you know, hey, if it takes all day, that's fine. It just takes all day. You know, I would rather it take all day than break off a bunch of bolts and have to deal with that, because we broke one on his, and you know, we were fortunate to get it out in a reasonable amount of time, but you never know. You know, these things break in the right way, you can get into having to drill and tap and all this stuff and change the timing covers out. And we don't want to do that. We want to take our time. We want to get that off the right way without breaking anything. That's the goal. So let's jump on this air pump. I'm going to get started on it, and then once I get it off and get it on the table, we'll come back, we'll look at it out in the open, talk about it a little bit, and talk about taking it off. So here we go. Let's get started. Let's get on it. Let's see if we can get this thing done today. All right. So far we've got the radiator out. We got the fan shroud off now. I figured this would be a good time to go ahead and click back on and maybe give you an up close view of what we're doing. So I'm going to lean the camera in right there, and you can see that air pump right here. Well, we're going to get that off there next. A lot of lines. Going to go ahead and take the fan off too and get it out of the way. This is a B-belt setup on this truck. Later models had the Serpentine belt. Serpentine belt's easier, you know, it's one belt, whatever. I tend to like it better. This has got a lot of crap on it. Big brackets here, big bracket in behind there, holding the air conditioner on. One thing's for sure about this right here. When we delete this air pump and get this crap out of the way, it really makes our alternator accessible. I'm going to put an alternator on this truck. Guy said, you know, hey, it's charging, but it's not the best. And if it's working, it's surprising. It looks rough down in there. Let me go ahead and dip the camera down in there. You can see where that, right down here is the alternator. So if you have to change that, yeah, that could be a task. It could be a task, it could be a headache. So with this out of the way, going forward, it's going to make that way more accessible. It's going to clean a lot of this up. Now, I don't want to dress this thing like a Cadillac or like a hot rod as far as dressing up the engine, but I do want to clean it. I want it to be very clean, uniform. I want all these hoses neatly put away. I want to be able to open the hood and access something easily if I need to. So that's really the goal here, is to get rid of this because we don't need it. It's locked up. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Somebody had already took the belt off, so I assume this thing had already given an issue. We'll get rid of that. That's going to open everything up. It's going to delete a lot of hoses, a lot of vacuum. That's going to really open this up to make it a little bit easier to work on things, change spark plugs, do general maintenance. If you have an issue, you can see a little bit better. You don't have this thing up here protruding in the way of everything. So we're going to get it out here now. Then we're going to start taking all these big major brackets off around this water pump. And while they're off, I'm the type of person, I want to clean them and paint them back black and make them look nice, because if you're going this far on one to take all this junk off, and you know, you should just go ahead and take a little bit of extra time and clean and paint everything before you put it back on. Unless it's your daily driver and you got to have it the next day. Now trust me, I've been in that situation too, where it don't matter. You got to get it fixed because you got to go to work. So, you know, so now we're going to head on with this. I'm going to start taking, next I'll take the fan off, and then we'll start getting that junk air out of the way. Let me get the fan off and get the bolts out of this, and then we'll come right back and take a look at what we got. Alright, we've got this thing broke down to the water pump now. A couple things I want to say about this. The things come off pretty easy. Everything kind of came out, you know, I didn't have much issue at all. It didn't take very long until I got to the alternator on this. Now, this is a bad design on this alternator bracket. The bolt, I'll just show you guys. This thing, it gave me a little bit of issue getting it out of there. I had to remove bracket and all, because if you see right here, this bolt is inside behind this that you spin the alternator. It makes it I tried to get from under it and couldn't get from under it. Couldn't get it loose under it. Couldn't get a ratchet in there or a wrench. It's a real poor design. I think I'm gonna try to figure out something different on that. But as you can see, everything else came out, you know, fairly easy. We've got her all broke down now. I'm gonna finish deleting the air system and then start pulling the pump. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't a real big headache until I got to that alternator. So even with the air pump out of the way, still had to take the whole bracket off before I could get the alternator to drop down to get the belt off. So yeah, we'll look into that over the next couple of days, because like I said, we're not in a real big hurry with this. You know, we'll get as much done as we can, so we'll go from there. Alright, went ahead and took the water pump off, even though I said I was going to finish the smog pump stuff first. I just figured I'd go ahead and fight this water pump. Come off real easy. I know a lot of people that do these 351s, whether it be in a Bronco, F-150, when they do the water pump, you have two bolts in here, one on each side, and they bolt into the timing chain cover, which is aluminum. And they go through the timing chain cover, and then they bolt into the block. Well, they break off. A lot of times they always break off because they corrode inside the aluminum. So what we did here to prevent that, because we've been down that road, we heated each bolt up with a torch, and we worked them, loosen a little, tighten a little, loosen a little, tighten a little. Just took our time, able to get them out without breaking them off. So if you look in here now, I've got all this out, and I've got the thermostat housing. Let me grab that thermostat housing. I'll show you this. So this was new to me. I'm gonna put a new thermostat housing on this. Ported vacuum. It's broken. I noticed this after we got the pump off. I was looking at it and noticed that it was broke. The top nipple was broke. This is a 3-prong. It just bolts down in here. I'm not really sure what it does yet. I'll find out later. But thermostat housing, I don't know that I'll buy one. I may clean that one up. But I've got to buy that 3-prong ported vacuum housing anyway. That thing's expensive. We've been sitting here looking it up online. It's like 30 bucks for that. Again, I don't exactly know what it does. I'll find out later. I'll have to do some research on that. I'm not, I don't know all that, but I'll find out. So now back on to the smog stuff. So that's how we'll finish out our day, and we'll finish this video out with that smog stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and take it the rest of the way off and plug up the vacuum lines. It don't look like there's too many, and we'll have to cut one pipe that goes down to the exhaust and pinch it off, or maybe weld it up, and then that'll be done, and I'll be ready to start putting this back together when I get a few parts. So, and something else that I was irritated with, I pulled the pump, the new pump, out of the box, and it's rusty. A brand new pump, and it got moisture to it at some point. So before I put that back on, I'm going to paint that pump and clean it up too. So we're going to jump on this. We're going to get this, the rest of this smog, forced air, pump injection crap off of here. And once I get the rest of this piping and tubing off, I'll lay it over on the bench, and then we'll go take a look at it. So here we go. Alright, that right there is the tube that runs across the back of the engine to the head for that air pump system. You notice we cut one off. I'm going to cut both ends off. We're going to crimp them and then weld them up and then put them back in. Now you know that we have the one other line that goes down to the muffler pipe. Unfortunately, that one was already broke off, broke off from the pipe itself down the bottom of the truck, the muffler pipe. So I had planned to put new mufflers and new tubing on this truck anyway. So I'll just get that fixed when I do that. We'll go ahead, we'll cramp one of these up, weld it up. I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'm gonna put it back on the truck. All right. Here's one that's all sealed up, if I can get, the camera to focus. So, Bubba is doing the other one. I'm going to go ahead and bolt this one on, and we should be good. Alright, we got the block-off plates back. Well, we made block-off plates for the back of the engine, and they're on there. And we have the water pump off with thermostat housing off, and like I had said before, I'm gonna take you off the stand here, get close up on this, move my hand out of the way. Okay, so water pump's off. We didn't break any bolts. We got the air pump off, and we got it plated in the back. Like I said before, unfortunately that pipe that runs down to your muffler pipe was already broke off, but that's no big deal. I'm gonna put new pipes and mufflers on it anyway, so we'll fix that when we get there. Pretty much done now for the day. Got to a stopping point here because I still got to get one more of these right here for that thermostat housing, and I want to paint the brackets and do that, clean a few things up. We've got to get that gasket material front of the motor before we can go back on. I pulled my water pump out of the box that came with this truck. Looked like a little moisture had got to it, so I'm gonna clean it up and paint it before we put it back on. And here's that vacuum, that 3-prong vacuum piece. You can see the little nipple was already broke off of it. May clean this up, reuse it, get thermostat out, put new thermostat in it, but definitely got to get one of these, so I have to order that. Here's the air system that come off the side. This line here is cut right here, because right here is where it had broke out of the muffler pipe, so that's junk. And here's the old air pump right here. So next time it will be installing, we'll install the water pump, we'll everything back together. I've got to get a bracket and pulley, maybe, to replace that air pump. They sell one for the later model trucks that had the serpentine belt. This one I'm not sure we'll need. Maybe I will just get a shorter belt to run from my power steering pump off of my harmonic balancer, and just delete that altogether. And I also want to come up with a new idea for a alternator bracket. Let me show you that. I ran into some trouble with that earlier. This is how you adjust your tension on your belt for your alternator. This is on the inside, facing the cab, so you can't get in here readily accessible to mess with that. I had to take the whole bracket off to get that to fall down to get the belt off. So yeah, I want to tackle that, figure out something else there, maybe look online, see what other people are doing. But you know, hey, it's a stopping point. I've worked on this about a day, I guess. I worked on half a day yesterday, had some things to do in the afternoon, and I worked on it exactly a half a day today, and I'm done with it. I gotta get some parts and things like that. So I'm gonna go in here. We'll also be doing a little bit in here with all this mess and gobbledygook of wires, rat's nest of wires and vacuum hoses everywhere. So I'll take you over here and show you one more time the side where yesterday, as you can see, after I put that rust converter on, see how it's turned it black? That's when you know it's working, and it's killed that rust. We'll put a little filler in here, probably tape this off around this body line here, and tape it all the way off over here to this body line, and then Bondo or body filler the whole thing and get it straight, and then put it in primer, and then the body work will pretty much be done. So moving right along with this little makeover deal right here. There we go. Now, it's hard to be your own cameraman. Let me get you back on the tripod there. Alright, so that's going to be it for today's video. I get some parts ordered, and we'll get at it again maybe next weekend, try to put the motor back together and cinch that up, and then it'll be on to the brakes. I've got to get some wires too, and I think I'm gonna buy a new alternator. So I've got to get some parts. Might not be next week, maybe the week after, time I get all the parts in order, and we're waiting on a carburetor too. So that'll be it for today. But till next time, hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for us. That helps us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you see anything that we can do better, hit the comment section, let us know. This is my first Bronco, so it's all new to me. Not the first 351 we worked on, but this is a little older style 351. Bubba's has got serpentine belt fuel injection. This one's carbureted with V-belts. I gotta say, I like the serpentine belt better, But hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see y'all next time.